Hi guys, it's Debbie, and today I would like to speak about Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now, a couple of things have to be said before getting right into the specifics of the film itself. First of all, you don't need to know that much about Godzilla before stepping into the cinema. Godzilla has been depicted on the big screen since 1954 in a series of different situations and with its features and origins varying from plot to plot, as well as its aims and motivations, mostly to suit the objective of the story. So as long as you know that Godzilla is a huge ancient reptilian radioactive monster, you're good to go. Also because the plot of this film contains extensive exposition, so you're kept up to date with all the details that you're supposed to know. The second thing I'd like to point out is that this film isn't even half as bad as I was expecting it to be. Everything tied to Godzilla tends to reflect the super monster style of films, in which creators try to pack in as many explosions, battle scenes, screams, collapsing skyscrapers and military fanfares as possible. So it's not like we're going to watch an artsy, introspective story about Godzilla's morals with a soft and faded palette with some indie music playing in the background while Timothée Chalamet passes by on his bike. We all knew it was going to stick to a specific genre, and as a matter of fact, Godzilla is probably the most recognizable face in the tokusatsu entertainment, a Japanese term that describes works with an extensive use of special effects, monsters, giant robots, you name it. And it was actually the popularity of Godzilla that brought this genre to the Western world. That's how we got the immense popularity of Power Rangers starring American actors, and even the Jurassic Park saga was influenced by the Godzilla films, which director Steven Spielberg used to watch as a child. But what I was afraid of and what I was expecting was this film to go into full Independence Day resurgence, Furious 8 mode, a total waste of 2 hours. But in the end, within its genre, the creators actually managed to deliver a rather entertaining story. So basically the plot of Godzilla, King of the Monsters revolves around a series of titans, these huge monsters, who are set free and engage in a global destructive attack. The presence of the titans also generates a larger discussion and a series of diverging thoughts on the topic, as a part of the scientific community views these monsters as a natural constituent of the world's ecosystem. And while still acknowledging their destructive behaviour, they accept their right to exist, while a whole other part of the characters believe that the only solution to a safe world is destroying these titans, something which is easier said than done. I'm afraid to say too much to spoil the plot, but basically, and I'm surprised to hear myself saying this, it offers something more than just military personnel screaming orders and firing shots after shots until the story is over. Of course, there was still space for improvement. A great example of this is Peter Jackson's 2005 film based on a character within the same universe, King Kong. I love this movie because it is an awesome description of a creature beyond anyone's imagination, but still never falling into the hyper mega alpha storytelling present in other similar plots, such as Kong Skull Island, or my personal favourite I was quoting earlier, Independence Day Resurgence. So I was positively surprised by this film, although it still had some flaws, which we will get to in a minute. The most impressive feature of this film, and the one people I believe were most intrigued about, were the special effects and how the monsters were created. In my opinion, this was the best delivered aspect of the film. The Titans and their destructive wake were depicted in a very detailed manner, and I think what the creators were really trying to convey was their epic scale. Right from the trailers, we could tell that one of the movie's themes was how small we are as humans compared to these godlike figures which have been roaming the earth from ancient times. And this idea was conveyed really well throughout the movie and set up thanks to all a series of shots, such as the ones from beneath the creatures when humans are scurrying around like ants while these huge paws are coming crashing down, skyscrapers are falling over, explosions all around them. And another factor that emphasised this monstrosity, or if you want dramatic beauty, was the soundtrack. It was composed by a guy I had never heard of, Bear McCreary, who I read about, and apparently he created the soundtrack to some famous works such as The Walking Dead, The Da Vinci Code. But basically the soundtrack to Godzilla, King of the Monsters was a combination of different genres, from the more obvious, epic military fanfare to a series of Japanese-derived themes, such as those created by the original composer for the initial Godzilla films, as well as taiko drumming, choir audio, heavy metal instrumental and vocals by Sergei Tankian from System of a Down. So it really expanded the attention span because we were kept engaged through visual and audio components. Now on to the cast. The main characters were Dr. Mark Russell, Carl Chandler, and Dr. Emma Russell, Vera Farmiga, both who had worked extensively on the Titan subject and who have a daughter, Madison Russell. Madison Russell is portrayed by Millie Bobby Brown, famous particularly for her role as 11 in the super hit Stranger Things, and which I believe here played a very important role in drawing in even more crowds to watch this film. But in my opinion, nor Millie Bobby Brown, nor Carl Chandler, nor Vera Farmiga delivered a very convincing or emotion-packed role. Take for example King Kong by Peter Jackson. Same universe, same concept of Titans. Naomi Watts was great at giving us this character who was terrified beyond her wits. Somebody who's facing a creature who is beyond our mind's comprehension. Whereas in Godzilla King of the Monsters, we just had these three characters calling out their names for the whole film. They just didn't have space for expansion because the whole focus was on the Titans, on how good the effects were, on the music. And in the end, the most interesting figures on screen, in my opinion, were some of the secondary characters, such as Ken Watanabe's scientist, who has a nearly awestruck relationship with these monsters, which he knows are capable of wiping out entire cities, but which he can't help but not view as beauty of nature. Together with another scientist on the team, I think they represent the ancient Asian, here specifically Japanese, legends of monsters and creatures which were seen more as gods. And in one scene in the movie, which I'm not going to spoil, but it is probably my favourite out of the whole film, this idea is amplified in a very emotional manner. So to sum up my thoughts about this film, I believe it has to be watched knowing it will never leave its ties to a very specific genre. And although some of the bigger names on the posters were left to very marginalised and limited roles, it wasn't as bad as I expected, and I believe the creators gave a rather good monster story. By the way, if you want to get yourself some monster/Godzilla inspired merch, check the link in the description box below to Pampling, the website where I buy most of the t-shirts I wear in my videos, as they offer mostly movie/TV series/music related merch at very affordable prices, as well as hundreds of other products such as the t-shirt I am wearing today. But I also want to know if you have seen Godzilla King of the Monsters, what you think about it, if you plan on watching it, what are your thoughts on all this topic, and also if you want to see more cinema related content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.